Hey, what's up, friend? You are you interested in lack of skill? Yeah. Or maybe some suck. I'm just a new guy for the love of game. Wait, don't go. I know it's bad. Times have changed, but not by mad. Don't you know that games are my thing? Yeah, I know it's getting real late. Come on, look at me. I even do storytelling. Also, podcasts on great game subjects. Okay, yeah, I'm not a Markiplier or a PewDiePie. But hey, that's what makes me so unique, right? Right? And hello everybody, it is I, NikoTheLegend, also known as the well-mannered teenager, the snowflake, the rambling idiot, and Vigil. These are all nicknames that I did not ask for, but I got them, so I gotta live with them. So today on the Niko Show, we got a very special episode. I'm super excited to have another great guest. We're kind of going all over the place. Been in the States having with one guest, the Czech Republic, and now we're going to Germany. And I am proud to introduce Mikel. I almost said Mikel. It like cross-minded, went across my head pretty hard. So welcome, Mikel. How are we doing?
Thanks, I'm fine, and how are you?
I'm great. This has been like I've been wanting to do an interview with you for a while. I have asked you before, and then this is the second chance, the second try. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this with me. So I just think it's great that I was able to get you after the second try, and just a great pleasure. So I've been wanting to get the interview with you for a while because I'm just gonna say I do a lot of brown nosing here and buttering people up when I bring them on, but I've just been I admired your work so much throughout the years, and I think the first time I ever heard any of your music, which will actually tie into that with like shameless plugs here. So Mikel, before we get into that, where can people find you? I always forget to do this in the intro, like on platforms or links and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd say mostly on Instagram, michael.beats, and on YouTube and Spotify. Those are the most used platforms.
All right, perfect. And whatever, it's funny, whenever I'm listening to your music, it's always Spotify is the most used platform as well. Okay, so I'll just list a few things that you have created, and then of course, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but you've done great albums. Like this is the first time I ever heard your music was Zelda and Chill,
Yeah.
Pokey and Chill, Zelda and Chill 2, and then the latest and greatest was the Studio Ghibli tape. Am I correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And all of those albums are amazing. I just want to let you know that. Like that.
Thanks.
Good work. Very good work.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was just like immediately hooked. And what's interesting is that I had just a quick origin story with LoFi music. My friend introduced me to Chill Cow on YouTube. I don't know if you heard of it. I'm sure you have. It's
Yeah,
pretty
sure.
popular. And I was like, whoa, what kind of music is this? Like, this is awesome. Like, this is like really nice, low fidelity or low frequency type hip hop music, instrumental for the most part, and it's like fits any mood. And then I think somehow or somewhere I might have been following Game Shops or Materia Collection on Twitter, and lo and behold, great networking, your name popped up. And then I think Zelda and Chill was being advertised for the first time. And as soon as I listened to a few samples, I was like, okay, this is awesome. Like, this is my jam. And I'm a huge Zelda fan, of course. So I was pretty much addicted right away. And then it pretty much just stemmed from there, like, I don't want to sound like obsessed or anything, but I listen to your music constantly, like almost every day. Like, for example, on Spotify, I add your music to, I have my own playlist called like Niko and Chill. I hate to take the thing that you invented, but
I didn't invent it. But
okay. So I'll like mash in like your music, your
Yeah.
brother's music. Which, by the way, how do you say your brother's name? Is it Jokobi or Jokobi?
Yokabi.
Yokabi. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So I'll throw in his great stuff, and then a bunch of other people that have done, which I guess it's like I said. Correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, Video game cover music in a lo-fi fashion.
Yeah.
Did I word that right? I hope I didn't.
Yeah. That's correct.
Okay, cool. And that's like I was pretty much getting the best of both worlds when listening to your music, and then your brother's music, and then everybody else who has also done that. It's just really cool. Um, I actually listen to your guys' music, and yours especially more than like Chilled Cow. Like that's just how much influence it has on me.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I just think it's such a awesome combination. And so once again, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Like I said, yeah. Once again, big flatterer. Can't help it. So, so Michael, now everybody knows how I got to know your music and stuff. Pretty much during this interview, we're gonna go with like the 101 of you. Pretty much like the inspiration where you get all these great music and beats, flowing through your mind when you're creating this stuff. Um, kind of like the upbringing you had and how this grandiose operation just unfolded for you. Do you mind starting off with an origin story? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, sure. Well, I started making beats in 2008. I got a demo program and just felt like playing around. And I think I noticed that always when I listen to music, I often like the beats more than the lyrics. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to do it myself. And yeah, then I just constantly made music. I made music for other rappers and uploaded them on a German website. And with time, because I started to study, um, I didn't have much time to make music, and I started producing a lot less beats compared to the years before. But then also I think because of Chilled Cow, because my brother sent me the stream, he said, "Here, check this out," and then I got the idea that I could combine video game music with lo-fi beats, and yeah, that's how it started on YouTube with different gaming series, not just Zelda or Nintendo
Hmm.
games, but also like The Witcher, Assassin's Creed, and mostly games that I played in my childhood. And
Hmm.
yeah, then with time, I got the idea to produce a whole Zelda themed album.
Yeah, fascinating work. Um, Not to interrupt, is any of the previous music like pre Zelda and Chill? I say Zelda and Chill because to
Mm.
me, I felt like that was like the big milestone for you
Yeah.
because of like all the downloads and stuff. But
Mm.
anything before that, can people find that on YouTube anywhere or any websites? If you want them to
Um,
find it.
yeah, sure. The first video game remixes are on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
I think it's
Oh.
I don't know where to find them myself. A few rappers still have some tracks that are on YouTube or Spotify, but most beats I didn't upload, or I took off the internet because I didn't like them myself anymore because they're like 5 years old, and then I want to have this nice
Yeah.
setting with just video game remixes. And yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. No nails on a chalkboard, right? Or yeah, humble beginnings.
Mm.
It's amazing how often that happens with artists or just with anybody's creations.
Mm.
Sometimes they'll take off like the earliest stuff just so it's like a constant flow of just like like harmony, and not
Yeah.
like in the beginning. But so
Mm.
that's awesome. Here's the question. So how when you're doing these like Now there's so many flowing through my head. When you're doing these cover songs, I guess we'll, just to be fair, we'll call it cover songs. And when you're sitting down, like, how do you know which sound to pick, or even which song to go with? Is it just something it just clicks with you right away, one of those things, or what's the tedious process you go through?
Yeah, well, at first it was just songs that I've known my whole life, or since the game's released, and that I had an emotional connection to. Like I've known this Zelda soundtrack a long time, and I've even back then I've done some remixes of like Song of Storms. I found a beat recently from 2009 where I made a remix of Song of Storms, and yeah, at first it was easy to pick just to pick the songs that I liked most, and I often had an idea just how to transfer them into a hip hop cover.
Yeah.
And now it's I have to just search on YouTube or play games, and
Yeah.
like with Breath of the Wild, when I heard some songs, they were new to me, and that's how I knew which ones I want to remix. But for Zelda and Chill 2, there were so many songs that I didn't have, I didn't remember,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I had to even ask on Instagram, what songs do you suggest, or what songs would you like to hear?
Yeah.
And then I listen to them myself, and then I just have to see if I can imagine something out of that melody. Like there were some requests that a lot of people wanted to hear, but it didn't click with me, so I couldn't make a remix. And but yeah, that's the main process.
Man, that sounds like a labyrinth of just possibilities, like a madness labyrinth of something of some kind. I think the greatest challenge, like I could assume that you go through, is like when you actually pick the songs. It's like how much do I change, how much do I remix, like to just so it keeps that original like vision that the song like portrayed for you originally when you're getting that, when you evoke those feelings for you. It's like, how do you like in rhetorically, it's like, how do you not tamper with it so much to where it's not even like the song like that's like, to me, I think that's like a difficult balance to just keep the scale like that. Do you ever have that issue when you're working on those songs, when you're remixing them, like how to not go too far with Michael's sound and none of the Nintendo sound left over, if that makes sense, or going the other way? How would
Yeah.
you even start? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, there's one song, for example, like Hyrule Castle on the second album. I just picked a little part of the melody and created my own thing. And there are some songs that have other parts, and those are the times where I have to make the decision, like this wouldn't fit into this remix. So and I think those are the most hard times when you have to break the song down, like
Oh
what
yeah,
makes this song great, and
yeah,
what you want to have put into the remix. And yeah, also like with Spirit Tracks, there was it was just this long melody that kept changing, but everything was great. So it was also like okay, but I have to include this now, I have to include that. And
yeah, yeah.
I just I think a lot of Zelda melodies have something in common, and
Oh, for sure.
that's yeah, and that's why it's with time it's easier to catch the magic from the Zelda tunes. And
Yeah.
just with time you know what you're doing, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's still difficult, but mostly it became easier.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. This is my favorite thing. Like listening from artists is like the philosophy and the step by step process that goes into it. I always find that fascinating. I think I think that is the difficult part, is to like you really really have to get to know the song,
Yeah.
probably to a point where it's just like, I mean, I'm sure you still enjoy listening to the music even in its original
Yeah,
form,
of course.
but
Yeah.
it's like that I have dissected this song more than I've ever dissected anything in my
Yeah.
life. Like
Yeah,
dissected
definitely.
more than something you did in science class back in the day.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So that's how it was with me, because I just got into piano last year, like near the end of last year. So that's a lot of fun to mess with.
Mhm.
But I always played drums growing up. Went the whole punk rock band thing for a little bit, and
Yeah.
then it's just a hobby now. It's no longer a
Mhm.
job. But when I'm like trying to learn the covers of those songs or trying to play the beats that they have, it's like you really have to sit there and listen and just,
Mhm.
let it come to you naturally. Although sometimes it's pretty hard because you can get easily frustrated in the creation process. And then you're just like, well, all the creativity's out the window and you just gotta just,
Sorry, the video just froze.
oh, it's okay. I was gonna say before that I think one time it freezed for you,
Okay.
but that's okay. Just keep rolling.
Mhm.
So I was saying like when I play drums or learn a song or just any type of music or the beat to try to
Mhm.
understand it better. Yeah, you really have to hit the nail on the head, and the song is no longer the same as it used to be, where you're just like on the go listening to it in the background, like you really know this song. Um, so I always find that interesting.
Mhm.
Is the footage, is it freezing at all?
That froze again for a second, but now it's working again.
Okay. Talking about great things in the music
Yeah.
world. It's too much for OBS to handle.
Mhm.
Um, and I want to say that some of the songs are probably a lot easier for you to work with. Like you were just mentioning Spirit Tracks.
Mhm.
That one sounded like it took a little bit longer process, because it's like,
Yeah.
okay, where does Michael dive in? Like, where do I put my sound into this?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would assume, yeah, a lot of the songs just worked, had a smoother transition or operation for you. And actually,
Yeah.
another example, I remember you posted about it when you were getting to release Poke and Chill.
Mhm.
I think you were talking about Trainer Battle, and
Yeah.
I think you said something about that song being pretty difficult to do because it's like real
Yeah.
uppity and it's like fast paced, and it's like, did you have the same type of difficulty trying to remix that song, since it was kind of on a different level in the terms of like Pokemon music?
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean the melody isn't very chill, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
some melodies transition pretty well into a chill vibe, but this one was like I needed like 4 or 5 tries, and I must say, Trainer Battle and Ending Theme
Oh,
are also from Poker and Chill are the only two beats of all 3 albums which I don't really like myself now. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
and I think it's okay, but I think I just because I loved that melody as a kid when I played it, because it was
It's
came up
iconic.
every second,
Yeah, yeah.
and I really wanted to have it on the album, but yeah, it was definitely one of the most difficult ones to make.
Yeah, and I think the fact that it was such a challenge, it was just like really testing your experience and skill,
Yeah.
and it's like, all right, here we go. And it was, you said it was Trainer Battle, and what was the other one that you mentioned? Sorry.
Ending theme.
Ending Theme. And like
Yeah.
Ending Theme is one of my favorite on that album. And I
Yeah,
think
really.
my favorite one on the Pokey and Chill one, and I remember I tweeted you about it, was Sacred Beast.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
that's just good jams. Like that song is
Mhm.
just awesome. It's like somehow with the magic at your fingertips and your brain, you manage to make it inspirational sounding, at least to me, from what I hear, and chill at the same time. And I'm like, how does someone even do that? Like that's amazing.
Yeah.
So that, I think that's why
Yeah,
I like
that's
that one so
also.
much.
Mhm. Yeah, it's also one of my favorite beats. I just I love like Japanese and Chinese instruments and melodies, and it was also one of the beats that sounded more like my beats that I made before I created Zelda and Chill, and it was a
Oh,
fun one.
really? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. It's like you're already foreshadowing your own creation. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I want to I kind of want to talk about, like I said, this is pretty laid back, so we're just pretty much
Mhm.
having a discussion right now, um, which I appreciate again. The Studio Ghibli tape. Now, to me, like I thought that was way out of left field in terms of like just because you've been following the pattern of like video
Mhm.
game album, so on and so forth, and then all of a sudden we get the Studio Ghibli tape,
Mhm.
and at first I was like, whoa, like this is interesting because because that's not something people have seen you at least do
Mhm.
with the pattern of on your releases on the albums you do,
Mhm.
and I thought that was pretty unique. So, where did the inspiration come with Studio Ghibli tape? How come you went from video game to amazing animated movies?
Um, well, the fun thing is that I made a Ghibli remix in like 2013, and there was Nausicaa,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
my brother watches a lot of anime. Uh, I don't watch it as much as he does, but I like the Ghibli movies, and
Yeah, yeah.
I always thought they have a nice soundtrack, and I think like the latest Zelda game, or the second last Zelda game, Breath of the Wild,
Yep.
very heavily inspired by Ghibli,
Oh
and
yeah, totally. I
yeah,
agree.
and yeah, they just have like also have wonderful soundtracks and art direction and everything. And because my brother was working on some anime remixes, we got the idea that we could work on the Ghibli tape. And the fun thing is with the Nausicaa track, I had to sample my own song from 2013 because I couldn't find the plugin that I used back then.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so I remixed a remix of my own for that tape. And yeah, it was he also loves Yokabi also loves the Ghibli movies, so it was just a perfect thing
Oh
to work
yeah.
on
Just
together.
it's like a match made in heaven right there.
Mm, yeah.
And Nausicaa is actually my favorite Studio Ghibli film.
Mm,
So when I heard the song for the first time, it was just like,
thanks.
yeah,
Yeah, I love that original melody. It's
yeah, that's amazing. In terms of like doing the remixes for songs from movies,
mm.
was it any harder than doing remixes for video game music, or were they like on the same level?
It was a bit harder. That's why there were only 6 tracks, because as great as the music is, but a lot of songs from Ghibli do have they do sound often they often sound the same, and that's why and we only wanted to do one song per movie, and that's why it was really hard to find songs that were different enough from each other.
Okay,
And
yeah.
with yeah, with games, they have soundtracks are often much larger because games are often longer than movies, and
Yeah, it's insane sometimes.
yeah, and that's where it was pretty difficult to find the songs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, because Studio Ghibli films have a lot of orchestrated music
Mm,
too, and
yeah.
it could be like all over the place at one part, and then just like nice, just like flat line or just simple melody in the beginning or end. Um, so I'm sure you had a great time trying to decipher the songs, and then yeah, definitely
Mm,
differentiating them so you pick the ones that sound different as much as possible, or
yeah,
ones that just don't
exactly.
sound so similar.
Yeah.
And I think it was I'm just gonna say I think it was a great idea to put tape at the end of the title because I'm assuming it's because of how many songs were on there. So I think you're like, okay, a tape kind of alludes to the fact that this isn't as big as like a CD or something or a
Yeah,
record.
yeah.
So I think that was pretty smart marketing on your part.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah, and we didn't want to get it confused with the Chill series because this
Yeah.
was our first independent release,
Hmm.
and we're still working with game shops on other
Hmm.
albums. But because it wasn't video games, we decided we don't want to call it Ghibli and Chill, and
Ah, yeah, yeah.
so search for something different.
Yeah, speaking of Studio Ghibli, did you have to do any like PR work with Ghibli Studios? Like, did you have to contact Miyazaki or something, just to get permission?
No, because the distributor does all of that. You
Hmm.
when you upload the songs, then you say it's a cover song, and then you type in the original composer and give them all of the data,
Okay.
and then they take care of everything.
Okay. Cool. So actually, just to expand further on that
Mm.
question, did you have to do like any extra work to contact any of the distributors or producers on like your Zelda albums or Pokemon, or was pretty chill?
Yeah, it was pretty chill, and game shops did the most work on that.
Okay.
They took care of the licenses,
Right. Okay.
and
Cool.
yeah, and the good thing is you pay a monthly fee for the songs, and the original composer gets a cut from the streams.
Okay. So Koji Kondo is making a decent living from you right now.
Mm. I hope. Yeah, I hope so.
He's just sitting back in his lawn chair, just like, yeah, this is
Yeah.
great. Good beats all around. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because I did an interview with composer John Paul Hayward. He did Cross Symphonic. It was like his orchestrated rendition of Chrono Cross, which I love that game to death. That's a fantastic soundtrack in that. If
Mm.
anybody has not listened to Chrono Cross soundtrack or anything from Yoshinori Matsuda, I recommend it. He's fantastic. So I want to say because he didn't go through game shops. So if you ever find this and I'm butchering the story, I do apologize. But he had to contact Yoshinori Mitsuda to get permission
Mm.
and stuff because there was like a little bit of a back and forth, not like a spat or anything, just kind of like
Mm.
communicating, just to make sure everyone's on the same level, nobody step on anybody's toes, and you definitely don't want to step on a legendary composer's toes, some pretty big toes. So, and you're saying you never had an issue like that, or where you had to talk to the
Mm.
composer himself to get permission,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
I think because he didn't have game chops or I want to assume he didn't have material collection to system. I think it was literally just him just reaching out, I believe.
Mm.
Um, so and that to me is fascinating because the creation process is different for everybody, especially when you want to get
Yeah.
this publicized. Um, have you had any like notorious issues with getting your work published at all, like in the past before Zelda and Chill?
Mm. Only when I used samples, then YouTube detected the samples, and
Mm.
in Germany a few years ago we had something that was called the GEMA, and they they what's the words? Uh, um, they not canceled. They took the videos down.
Okay, okay.
If you had a little sample, it was directly okay. You can't upload this. They stopped now. Everyone hated them. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but because I didn't use any samples in the remixes, there never was a problem.
Okay, cool. Wow. So, sounds to me smooth sailing. Like, good deal.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Does that whenever you are trying to get your work out there, like publishing it, does that ever like shadow ever linger over you. I mean, even to this day, in case, like, thinking of like one of these days, maybe these composers will come after you for some weird reason, or like a platform is like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Is that always like a constant thing in the back of your mind?
Yeah, sometimes, cause I don't know if things will change in the future. But they
Ah,
say you
yeah,
can't even make covers now, which would be really sad because
it would be sad.
I also love listening to other covers
Hmm.
from other people, and I always like new uh, interpretations. No,
Hmm.
yeah, of songs, and
Yeah.
but yeah, sometimes yeah, I think would be really sad if that changes, and if they said you can't keep it up on Spotify or YouTube. But yeah, fingers crossed that
Yeah.
that doesn't happen.
Yeah, hey, if anybody finds us that's in that industry to do that has that power, hey, relax,
Mm.
right? Show mercy. Yeah, that is scary. I thought it was kind of pretty scary when Twitch decided to do the DMCA stuff,
Mm.
and like they were really trying to hammer that down. And I don't know if you use Twitch at all, but if you go to I think video producer where you can see your footage and stuff, like now on the page in the top right, it'll say if you have any
Mm.
strikes against you. They actually
Yeah,
give you like a tally now, and I'm like, geez, it's kind of scary, right?
yeah, definitely.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's it could happen, like music being taken down, or the music industry changes on these platforms, or what's allowed, just like that
Mm.
freedom of uploading, or freedom of expression type deal. It's always sad when let's just say the ban hammer goes down, and it's
Mm.
usually for like some petty excuse or something, and everyone's just like, ah, really?
Yeah.
And that, like you were saying, that can happen at any time, which is,
Mm.
yeah, pretty scary. I mean, I do these wacky do interviews with great people on the show that are brave enough to hang out with a guy who posts himself in a werewolf costume. I just wanted people to be like, "Whoa, what is Michael doing? Who is this weirdo?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I do random weird stuff like that just so people are
Mm.
like on their toes a little bit, just kind of stick out there. But like,
Yeah.
I'm on like this podcast. I would definitely be sad, of course, if this ever gets taken down, because it's on
Mm. Yeah.
Spotify, it's on YouTube. Um, and it's on the main like podcast website I use is Libsyn. So
Mm.
Spotify is like the third party in this whole process. So yeah, like I completely understand. Like you just wake up one day and you'll just get some nonsensical excuse of why your stuff gets taken down.
Mm.
That's always a darn shame.
Yeah.
Um, happen a year from now, tomorrow, 5 years, who knows, 20 years,
Mm.
But 20 years from now, hopefully there's hopefully a more supreme version than YouTube, because
Yeah.
as we all know, YouTube is just the most oversaturated platform of all time.
Mhm.
I would say even more saturated than Google with Wikipedia pages.
Yeah.
So that's great. But it's like, here's a real like open-ended question. It could be considered personal. Are you having are you having fun when you're making this music?
Yeah,
When
definitely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And next
Sorry,
one.
sorry, it froze again. That's why I didn't hear the whole question.
Oh, okay. I was just saying, like, when you're making the music, are you having a good time? Is it more than a stressful time, and it's just like, yeah, I just got to get it out there. Um,
No, not at all. Cause I've always loved making music, and I only make music when I feel inspired and when I feel like it. And like I could have brought Zelda and Chill 2 faster. I could bring Zelda and Chill 3 or any other album out at any second, just
yeah,
because people like it. But in my opinion, the music wouldn't be good then. I
yeah,
only like I finished Zelda and Chill 2 in April or May last year. I think it came
crazy.
out in November
Hmm.
because I was working until September on each track to perfect them, and I think that's the most important part, that it's fun and that
Yeah,
it's stress free.
exactly. I think, I mean, depending on where you're standing as an artist in terms of like reputation and if you have a contract with anybody, I can understand deadlines obviously put a big pressure. I mean, you don't have to tell me if you got like a NDA agreement or anything, but um, nobody really likes deadlines. But at the same time, that pressure can motivate you to
Yeah,
kind of
definitely.
get off your ass and just start thinking. But I'm with you 110% of what you just said
Mm.
before. It's like that creativity needs to just come to you naturally. And if with me specifically, I'm trying to finish my third revisement of my book that I'm doing. But when I was
Mm.
actually writing it, it was a 7 year process because
Yeah.
I did take my time on it. And and life gets in the way and all this other mumbo jumbo stuff. And
Mm.
uh, it's a hobby. I'm not getting paid for it. I do it when it's fits the best conditions for me throughout the day, and you just want to
Yeah.
enjoy what you're doing. So
Mm.
yeah, of course, you could easily, I stress the word easily, um, just start pumping stuff out all the time, but then
Mm.
then you would overshadow the work you just released not too long ago. So it's
Yeah,
like this
exactly.
whole timing.
Yeah.
Um, and like when you did Zelda and Chill one, I was good with that for the longest time. And then when you
Mm.
were like gonna do Pokey and Chill, I was like, heck yeah! Like there was enough time in between to where
Mm.
these songs really just stuck to me. And
Yeah.
yeah, honestly, I think you've done a great job just timing it apart. It just
Yeah, thanks.
awesome, yeah. Um, and like I said, with the Studio Ghibli tape, I think that was a great mix up there in terms of
Mm.
just like instead of video games, it's off of our greatest like childhood movies that we still watch to this
Yeah.
day. It's a very 200 IQ idea, Michael. It's very great.
Yeah.
You and your
Yeah, I
brother
think
did
it
a
was.
fantastic job.
Yeah, thank you. I think it was like the perfect next thing after a video game album. Like
Hmm.
I also release original music, like a few singles here and there. But for the next album, I really thought, or for the next tape, I really thought Ghibli would be the best thing, because a lot of people that like Zelda also like Ghibli,
Yeah,
and
yeah, you were saying that before. Yeah, Breath of the Wild totally proved that.
yeah.
Oh man, um, I think uh, anybody who's seen like my like tie-ins with like anything Studio Ghibli with Breath of the Wild was Castle in the Sky, probably the
Mm.
most. Maybe even Nausicaa. But I was always just thinking of like not Castle in the Sky with like the machinations or the
Mm.
robots or whatever.
Yeah,
That stuff was great. And just like the way the music is, how it's
yeah,
set up and very atmospheric. And it's always funny reading comments when people say that Breath of the Wild didn't even really have a soundtrack. And this is coming from a guy who bought the entire soundtrack for Breath of the Wild. It's like 6 discs or something. It's insane.
yeah.
And,
Yeah, and I actually like the direction they went with the soundtrack.
yeah, it's
That is
great.
more subtle and not in your face the whole time. Like
Yep. Well, it's very just like it's a very progressional sound or melody they went with. You can
mm,
just consider it as like one giant song pretty much
mm,
because
yeah,
just the way it fades in and out and you'll hear like echoes of the song and it's like wait a minute, I've heard this bit of this song from another Zelda game, like it's like where
mm,
was it,
yeah,
and then it makes you think because it's like a teaser, like it really does a good job teasing you in a good way, and then it's just like man, this game is just so great.
yeah,
Like Breath of the Wild is not to get off topic here, but it's probably one of my favorite games of all time. It's
yeah.
fantastic.
Mine too, definitely. Yeah,
So like that's great that that game itself inspired you to do more Zelda music
mm,
and then Studio Ghibli music. Like that's awesome.
yeah. Thanks.
I think artists should always do this. They should always. I mean, this is kind of like a no-brainer, but some people tend to get pretty complacent when making their music. So I think it's great that you decided to perhaps go out of the comfort zone and
Mm,
try movie soundtracks and stuff. And from my understanding, from what I'm hearing, I think it paid off well for you. And so that it's not easy for people to go out of that zone.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
um, especially if you have like a contract with a sponsor or a publishing company or a record label or
Take a
something.
second. It froze again, but now it's working again. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely put like a disclaimer or like a message in the beginning of the video in
Yeah.
post. It's like, pardon the freezes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Discords can be pretty wonky at times.
Mm.
So, did your brother have the same kind of like origin story as you did? Did you guys start out at the same time, or did who? Actually, let me ask you this: you're the older brother, right?
No, I'm the younger one.
He's the younger brother. Or, I mean, you're the younger brother. Okay,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
did he lead first, take the first step, or did you take the first step? How did you guys like come to start doing the same thing together? Like that's amazing.
Um, well, I think he and a few friends had also had a demo program in 2004,
Hmm.
and they were just fooling around with it. And then that was like the first time I noticed that that there were a beat making program. And but he didn't create any beats anymore. It was just for fun.
Hmm.
And the fun thing is each we have also an older brother, and
Ah,
yeah, and each one of us had a phase in our lives where we used to rap, where we wrote our own songs and stuff.
yeah.
And so we all loved making music, but he stopped, and I continued. And but I think after I created Poker and Chill, um, he also found interest in making music again, and
Ah,
asked me if I could show him a bit, like a few tips and things to get started with. And then he directly started making a lot of music, nothing gaming related at
mm.
first, just like sampling beats, more old school type. And yeah, with time, we said let's make a Zelda track together, um, which was Forest Temple, that was
Yeah, that's
also on
great.
Nintendo.
Hmm.
And yeah, then he started to work on Chiltendo, and yeah.
Well, he did that solo album, Night Child,
Exactly that.
which is awesome. Like I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's great. That's actually that's in the Nico and Chill Spotify
Oh,
playlist.
nice. Nice.
Yeah, I just like I just find that so fascinating. So he started the march in that direction originally, and then kind of branched away, and then you stepped into the fold,
Mm.
and then it's just like, okay, I'm gonna come back into it, and I just think
Yeah.
that's awesome that, um, you know, when the bigger brother goes to the little brother for once
Mm.
to ask for some tips or advice. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a special bond that only siblings share, and
Mm.
like I can relate with you. I'm the baby in the family. I'm the
Mm.
youngest out of two brothers. So
Yeah.
I just think it's fascinating. You got another the oldest. Does
Yeah.
your oldest brother make music, or is he like
No, no.
completely not doing that?
No, no. No, he doesn't make any music.
Okay.
He plays guitar sometimes, but doesn't record it or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I always find that interesting. Yeah, out of everybody in my family, out of my three brothers, I'm the only one that plays music.
Mm.
Does like the YouTube and the Twitch streaming and like doing the literary work.
Yeah.
Writing a fantasy novel.
Ah, nice.
Um, yeah, they've been all. I've been the one that took that mantle, but I am
Mm.
terrible at drawing. But
Yeah.
my brothers are really good at drawing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But so they were able to dabble into like graphic design and
Mm.
Photoshop and all that stuff, especially when Photoshop was like at its peak back in like the mid 2000s to late
Mm.
2000s.
Yeah.
Like I don't even remember. I don't think they ever used like Coral Paint or even Microsoft Paint. I think it was just Photoshop. I mean, they even went
Mm.
to school to get a bachelor's degree in
Oh.
graphic design. So yeah, my brothers were just kind of like, just tinkering, just messing with certain images, putting their head on someone else's like
Yeah.
body and make it look like it's them, and just kind of silly stuff like that, or making their own original artwork and all that. But my middle brother has had his stuff published in like a. They used to be really into like racing cars and stuff. So
Yeah.
my middle brother used to do work for a magazine company for race car racing, like Fast and Furious type cars.
Yeah.
Kind of cheesy looking, but anyway, so yeah, that's been their side of the spectrum. But everything else, like music, writing, and being in a band and stuff, that's just been mainly me.
Yeah.
Also, just doing YouTube and all that. So I always find that fascinating when you got siblings like that that can take all different paths, and I always think that's cool when you guys are able to collab together. And do you guys live together? By the way,
No. No.
no.
No.
So when you guys worked on Studio Ghibli tape, did you have to be in the same household together, or did you have to like?
It froze again.
That's okay. Is it good?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you guys were making, for example, Studio Ghibli tape, were you guys in the same household, the same studio, or did you guys have to like?
Sorry, it froze again.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's just too much content. Can't handle the
Yeah.
stress. Okay, good, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you were working on Studio Ghibli tape, did you guys work in the same studio, like under one roof, or were you guys in separate houses working on it, and just like sending samples across Discord or email?
Yeah, we did both.
Sweet.
Because he lives in Frankfurt, and I live at the border of France, and it's like a 2-hour drive. And sometimes, sometimes I drove over, so we could like search for songs together. And sometimes he came over here to me, and sometimes we just send some beats over, and like we're like, how do you find this one? How do you find that one? And what should I change here? And so on. And for the when we were finalizing the album, he came over here because I have the better loudspeakers, and we mixed and mastered them here
Yeah,
and together.
yeah. You have the raw cut,
Yeah.
the master files. Yeah. Yeah, there's been a couple bands. Well, I'm sure a lot of bands have done this, but just to list a few, I don't know if you ever heard of the band The Postal Service. It's like a old rock band. If it is rock, it's been a long time since I've listened to them. But like the name suggests how their music got made. They would have to like mail each other like samples and stuff, and
Yeah.
put it all together and just pray that it just works. There was, I'm sure you know the band Blink 182. There was one of their later albums called Neighborhoods. They were all in separate studios because they were all living. One person was living in San Diego in California, another person in Los Angeles in California, and then one of them was living in London. So they were never together making the entire album. And
Yeah.
so they kind of had to like mash it all together through the internet and the great web. And it turned out to be a great album, but it was very different sounding. I think when you're making music together, obviously when you're together, you get that flow going, that connection, and you guys are just like in one giant like music bubble.
Yeah.
Instead of like when you're so far apart, it might be difficult to kind of uh, invoke the same feelings as you would if you were playing together. I mean, especially like I used to do rehearsal for my punk band, and you just, the energy just starts flowing as soon as you start playing and stuff, and it's just like everyone's in sync. I would find it difficult to do that when you're, like you said, like 2 hours away. So I think it's great that either you drive over or he drove over, just so it's like when you're both there, you're listening to the same thing, and it's like, okay, now we're kind of connecting with one another pretty much.
Yeah.
So it makes a huge difference. It definitely does. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, and you guys, the picture. The picture that you guys took together, I think, for the Studio Ghibli tape, you guys look like a happy bunch. You guys look like you care for each other. I know it's a picture, so smiles could be fake or something, but you guys look, like good brotherly love. So that's also very important. I didn't see any meat on your face to hold down a black eye, or no missing teeth. It was just good.
Yeah, those times are over. It was when we were younger, of course, we
Yeah.
had fights and stuff, like I think most brothers or most siblings have, but now
Yeah.
we can really work really great together.
Yeah, I can't tell you the amount of times my middle brother has given me a dead leg. Or when I was really little, pants me in front of his friends. I'm like, yeah, thanks, cool. So yeah, that's really great because like I'm the same way with my brothers. We're all pretty close. We don't really get any arguments or debacles. And like I understand, like arguments are sometimes unavoidable when you get creative differences, and that happens all the time. And sometimes it can really destroy the band or the image you originally had, and it's just like, you know what, forget it. But that hasn't happened with my brothers and I like ever, so it's been pretty good.
Sorry, it froze again.
That's okay. I was just saying, I just think it's great when, you and your brother are, and, even your older brother, I'm sure, just are so well connected and there's no like bad blood or anything. You're able just to, in your guys' case, create great music and stuff. And,
Yeah.
it really shows. They said, when chefs make their favorite dish, they always say like, oh, a lot of love went into this, and it does really matter. I mean,
Yeah.
not to sound like a hippie or anything, but it's like you always want that positive energy to
Yeah, definitely.
be a part of the creation process. Unless you're like Mozart and you're always drunk, going through some family issues, but his music was fantastic in its own right, of course, and you can definitely see it come out. But I think that was intentional. But people can pick up on that really easily when something sounds way more darker than the other thing, if it's not intentional. So yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, group hug, family group hug, everyone. Brothers could be great. So yeah, I think that's fantastic. Closing statements here, closing questions before we end it, because we're reaching the hour mark. A lot of freezing hiccups along the way, but hey, we powered through it. Great times. These interviews are crazy because in the beginning it's like it starts off pretty slow, but once you both start talking, it's like, all right, it's already been an hour.
Yeah.
And that's why people can like stream or do podcasts with other people for 3 to 4 hours. I'm like, man, that's a long time to sit in a chair.
It froze again. I didn't.
That's okay. I'm usually I think it knows that I ramble too much. If you're not able to say on air, as this is pre-recorded, or will be, can I make a couple suggestions? Which I'm already sure you get plenty of suggestions, and I'm sure it probably gets annoying or something. But my favorite composers are a couple, Nobuo Uematsu, for Final Fantasy, and David Wise, the guy who did Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo. So if it ever crosses your mind on what to do next, Final Fantasy and chill and Donkey Kong and chill, that'd be great. All right. that's my fan input. That's my my girlish reaction to your great music. I'm trying to think if there's anything left. So here's a real boring question. Do you see yourself doing lo-fi music in like the next couple years to 3 years? Or do you see yourself taking a much more expansive path, or however way you want to word it?
Well, the thing is, it started out with lo-fi, but I don't call my music lo-fi anymore myself because
Okay.
um, a lot of them are just like, I'd say, chill beats. They're not necessarily not all of them sound like they're old or
Hmm.
anything. But I think because before lo-fi was a thing, I made beats that sounded similar. So
Hmm.
I guess I'm going to still be working on them for a long time.
Cool.
And on the other hand, I've started working with a friend that can sing really good, and I think
Cool.
I'm going to also go into that direction.
Sweet. With the whole singing type of thing, is it still going to be like, I don't know if you're able to say, I understand if you can't. Um, is it going to be like chill beats with vocals included, or is it going to be like a completely different genre in itself?
Um, I think it's open, but mostly it will go in a different direction.
Okay, cool. I think
Yeah.
that is this going to be? I'm just being really spoiled by you right now, so I appreciate it. Is this going to be like a challenge for you? Is this going to be out of the norm for Michael in terms of making
Uh,
music?
no, not really, because I've worked on a lot of different genres before, and
Great,
yeah, there's already one song on my Spotify account with that friend, and
cool,
it showed that it can work definitely, and yeah, shouldn't be too big of a challenge.
sweet. So, um, was that last question? I promise. Was that songs kind of like a test run to see if it see what the reaction was and stuff from people to kind of give you an idea of what people's reactions are.
Partly because, of course, I wanted to see if people like it, even though if they listen to my other music mostly. But on the other hand, I also thought to myself, doesn't really matter if I know it won't be streamed as much as my Zelda music, but
Mm.
the most important thing for me is just to release music that I love and
Yeah,
which I love working on, and
yeah,
yeah, so.
yeah. I That's awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, keep up. I keep up the love.
Yeah.
Keep it up, whatever it takes, right? Yeah, and it's always sad when your favorite musician or band, their music starts to shift way too much to where it doesn't even
Mm,
have like their original vision
yeah,
anymore. And the easy thing to say, like, oh, they're shills or sellouts, right?
yeah,
So that's always like for people, that's always a darn shame if that does happen.
mm,
But it's the vicious cycle when you're dealing with contracts and producers and all
mm,
that stuff. And sometimes bands just want to go that completely different path. You know, you don't want to be a
yeah,
one trick pony, which I completely understand.
yeah.
Sweet. All right, Michael, we have done it. This has been a freaking blast. I just want to
Mhm.
thank you again for being on the Niko Show podcast. Means the world to me, and I think it means the world to everybody else. For anybody who finds this, I always recommend to listen to his music. I still listen to his music pretty much every day. There's always a time and place for chill beats slash lo-fi music. It's fantastic. Once again, Michael, where can people find you?
On Instagram, Michael.beats, and on YouTube and Spotify, just Michael.
All right, awesome. And then, if you're watching this on YouTube, the links will be down below. And then if you're on Spotify, well, find me on YouTube or take his advice and look him up because music is fantastic. So appreciate it, Michael. Thank you once again. And this has been the Niko Show, folks. I've been your host, NikoTheLegend, also known as the well-mannered teenager, the snowflake, the rambling idiot, which Michael had first hand with the rambling part. It has been a great pleasure. Goodbye.